Senior producer from NFL Films, Greg Cosell, joins us as he is madly scribbling on his flip cards to find out who the heck is playing this week with the rest of us. How you doing, Greg?
Unfortunately, that's kind of the case, and it's there's no other way to say it. It's unfortunate.
Yeah, it is. No question about it.
And how likely? And you're just like us. I mean, we're only 1,000 miles from the center of this, and where this decision is going to be made. And we have no idea. We're going to find out like everybody else does. But what's your gut tell you? I think they have said that they were going to be very reticent to reschedule and do that, but they did it last year, and they did it on short notice. This seems different. There's two sides of the coin, as you said. One, how serious is the illness at this point for the guys who have tested positive? And two, how much is it going to cost, and what are the damages if they just say, "Hey, we're going to move the game"?
Right.
That's the question, right?
As we found out after the season with a series of articles that were written by several people, last year the league went to great pains in the 2020 season to make sure they had margins for error and leeway to reschedule games. We're not at that point now. So when you talk about rescheduling, Steve, all you're saying is moving the game a day or two. I mean, if it's a Sunday game, could you move it to Monday? Yeah. Could you move it to Tuesday? Sure, you could. But you're also going down the home stretch where I believe the number is 25. I could be off by a team or two, but I believe 25 teams still have a realistic shot to make the playoffs.
I think it's 28.
There you go. Like I said, I could be wrong. So, it's you're going in the last month of the season. You really don't want to get in a situation, one, where you're moving games, but two, where you're playing with players who are not the players. So I don't know the answer. People way smarter than I am have to figure this out. I certainly am not a virologist. I couldn't speak to anything about the strains or anything like that, or the variants, but they have to figure something out, because it seems like we're in a situation where 25, 30 players a day are going to be going to test positive, and that's obviously not conducive to playing.
No, it's not. But this game, at least as far as the Bills and the Panthers are concerned, hasn't been overtly affected. Deion Dawkins did go on the COVID reserve list today, so there figures to probably be some shuffling up front for the Bills. We don't know what the plans are. Steve and our best guess is Spencer Brown flips to left tackle, Darrell Williams out to right tackle from right guard, and then Feliciano back in the starting lineup with Ike Butker at the other guard. That's our best guess as to what the line will look like. What can you say, though, Greg, about the pass rushing abilities of this Carolina Panthers unit? We know that Hassan Reddick's had a very nice season. We also know that on paper, they're 4th in sack percentage and 10th in sacks. This maybe describes some of their pressure success this year.
Well, it's funny because obviously Carolina, most of the focus by the media and others has been on the quarterback situation, first with Sam Darnold and then with the return of Cam Newton. And offensively, they're a mess. But defensively, they're very good, Chris. And I think to look at this game as if, okay, well, it's no problem, it's Carolina, would be a mistake because of the matchup on that side of the ball. Brian Burns and Hassan Reddick are both very, very good edge rushers. Very good. Derek Brown inside is a load. They're quick and fast at linebacker. They play a lot of different people in the secondary. I know A.J. Boye, I believe, is out this week, and he's been playing a lot in the slot. But they play a lot of different people in the secondary. They play big nickel with 3 safeties. They're very multiple in their looks. They disguise and they use late movement. This is not an easy defense to play against, given what they do. And look, the reality is that the Bills O-line, and now Dawkins being likely out, as you said, the Bills O-line has not been really strong in pass protection. We'll see what the plan is this week. My guess is you will likely get the first run by a running back before the first play of the second possession of the third quarter. But that's just a guess.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. You're right.
That's a good bet.
Yeah, what do you think, Steve? You think I might be right on that one?
Yeah, I think that's right. And obviously in reference to the last game when the Bills didn't hand it off. They did hand it off to a running back, but it was a fake punt. I don't know if that counts. So, Josh Allen didn't hand it off to anybody the entire first half. So, that seems to be a difference going. It's going to be a difference. But I think this is a game also, if you talk about the other side of the football, I mean, if both offenses struggle, the Bills could find themselves in another 6-9 game like they found themselves in Jacksonville a month and a half ago.
Yeah, the problem with playing teams that you're better than, and the Bills are theoretically better than the Panthers, is you don't want to get stuck in those close games because, look, I remember watching that Jaguars-Bills game both on TV and then watching the tape. And when you watch it live, of course, you get a totally different feel, as you guys know. But when you're watching it live and all of a sudden you get in the third quarter, and you know how it is, Steve, you played and you start the pressure starts going on the offense. Every possession seems to just generate a little more pressure, and every play becomes a bigger play. And all of a sudden you're in the fourth quarter and you realize we may only have 6 or 7 or 8 more plays in the game. And, you don't want to be in that situation at all. Right. So the question is, how can you get off to a fast start? Look, the reality is they're not going to change dramatically. Sure, my guess is they will hand the ball off to backs more, but they're not going to become a run-first team. It's going to be Josh Allen, and they're going to try to throw the ball. And look, what Josh Allen did in the second half last week was miraculous. It was warrior-like. It was arguably one of the best halves by a quarterback I've seen this year. But it's just, we've discussed this, it's just so hard to play that way, as you guys know.
Yeah,
right.
It's like he has to literally put the team on his back. Looking at the quarterbacks for Carolina,
do we
Greg,
have to?
Well, we're just from this standpoint, because after we watched Cam Newton last year play for New England, I said at the end of the season he's not starting caliber in this league anymore. He is not good enough to be a starter in this league. Now he gets this opportunity with the Darnold injury, and it looks like Matt Rule has no problem putting in PJ Walker when he feels the offense needs a spark or it's kind of sputtered with Newton at the controls. What would you say is the biggest difference that Walker brings to the field that maybe Newton doesn't do as well? We've heard he's more of a true thrower, but where do you come down on that?
Well, I think Walker is an easier thrower at this point, and the ball comes out better. But Walker is a little scattershot. I think Walker doesn't see things particularly well. So I think they're really hurting at the quarterback position. And Matt Rule is in a really difficult situation because he truly does not have a quarterback. And when you don't have a quarterback, it's like in baseball. I don't know if you guys follow baseball, but if you have bad starting pitching and you're down 5-0 every game in the fourth inning, it makes it seem like your whole team stinks, and they don't have a quarterback. So it makes it appear very often that just everything is bad. And it's just a really difficult, I'm being honest, it's a difficult offense to watch on tape. And the thing is, they don't have bad skilled players. I mean, DJ Moore is a very good receiver. Robbie Anderson can still run. They don't have bad players on the offensive side of the ball, but they just do not have any kind of consistency at the quarterback position whatsoever.
And Matt Rule has been really forthright. He says, listen, we're going to play both guys because that's where we're at right now. And I think that's a little bit refreshing and unbelievable coming from a head coach in the NFL. He's right, though. I mean, who wants to hear a guy get up there and say, no, we think it gives us the best chance to win? No, we're stuck here. And that's right. That's basically what he's saying, and he's right. But
he's right.
That doesn't mean they can't win games. I mean, if they're going to win games, though, Greg, tell me, what's it going to look like?
Well, a couple of things have to happen. Number one, I think they have to have success running the ball. And again, let's be realistic based on tape study. I think the Bills have struggled a bit stopping the run. And look, the Bills, and I'll explain this because I know people listening might not know all this in detail, but you guys will know, the Bills are a foundational over front, which means they shift their defensive line to the strong side of the offensive formation, to the tight end side. And they're not that multiple with their front looks. This is how they play. There have been times they've been really good at it. But teams know how to attack it. One thing we've seen is their 3 technique. That's the defensive tackle that lines up in between the guard and the defensive end to the strong side. He's been getting double teamed and moved a lot. And you just have to hold up more with that position because what happens there, if he gets moved, the linebackers can't play because guys get shoved into the linebacker level, and it's very hard for the linebackers to react. And I think Edmonds has not been a big factor in the last 2 games because of that. So they're going to have to just shore up their physicality up front, because the Panthers will run the ball. And ultimately, Matt Rule wants to run the ball. That's his whole belief as a coach. And given the quarterback situation, he's not coming out to throw the ball.
Right. And with that in mind, no McCaffrey, as we know, done for the season.
Yep.
What kind of back is Chuba Hubbard?
Well, it's funny you say that, because the pandemic summer of not this past summer, so it would be 2020, I watched his tape from 2019 at Oklahoma State, and he was really good, Chris. I thought he'd come in the league and have a chance to be a true starter. He had explosiveness to him. He had big playability. He was a little upright because he's tall, but I didn't think that was an issue that would prevent him from being a player. So he can break runs. So you have to be careful about that. I mean, the one issue here, another issue for the Panthers, which, we talk about the Bills a lot. The Panthers' O-line is really not very good at all. And it's not been good at all during the entire season. So that hopefully that the Bills front can play better and they can control that unit matchup, because the Panthers O-line, they've moved people around. They're trying to find what the best group is, but it's been bad.
Let's move around the league a little bit. Kind of a couple of the best defenses in the NFL are going to come off, and the Bills fans have an absolutely keen interest in the Colts-Patriot game Saturday night. What are your thoughts on that matchup and how it might go down?
Well, history would suggest, you guys are very familiar with Belichick and the Patriots being in the same division, and Steve, you've known this for a long time. History would suggest that Bill Belichick will not allow Jonathan Taylor to control the pace and tempo of the game. Because what Bill Belichick does is he sees how to take away your best threat and minimize it. Now, that doesn't mean Taylor might not have a long run. He's a great back, But my sense is the Colts will not control the game running the ball. Taylor will not consistently gain 5, 6, 7 yards. So I think, to me, how the Colts approach first down is going to be fascinating. Of course, they'll run the ball. They're not going to not run the ball. But I think there needs to be a real balance on first down between running and throwing. And I don't know what that is, guys, but I don't think they can just feel like, hey, we're going to hand it off to Jonathan Taylor. They're going to need the passing game on first down to be a factor in this game.
Yeah, and last time I checked, I think Carson Wentz was having a pretty good season on play action. So
he is. Yep.
Yeah. So I think I wouldn't be surprised if that's something that they decide to turn to. Greg, as always, thank you for the insight on Bills-Panthers. We hope it's an entertaining matchup, but I don't know that we convinced anybody, but we'll see where it goes on Sunday. I think all the Bills fans care about is that it's just a win at this point.
You know what, Chris? I think they'll take a 6-3 win. I don't think they care. I don't think we're into style points.
Oh, yeah.
No.
They're not worried about being picky. Thanks, as always, Greg. We appreciate it.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.